Okay, hope you're having a good start to the week. It is Sunday, and we are at day 22. Taking a look here again at Rosh Hanikra, Israel's northern border. Look at this beautiful view from these cable cars atop the hill. Let's go straight to our message, day 22. Here we go. There's a true story that happened about 200 years ago in the home of the very first Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's known as the Alter Rebbe, or the Old Rabbi. And in his home lived his married son, and his married son had a baby. Now that baby was sleeping one day in a crib, and somehow managed to fall out of the crib and was crying hysterically. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, the grandfather of the baby, came downstairs and picked up the baby and coddled him and took care of him until he could calm him down. Now, after he did that, he went to his son, the father of the baby, and he said to him, "Didn't you hear the baby crying? How come you didn't take notice? You didn't do anything?" So he told him that he was so engrossed, so concentrating on his studies of the Torah, meaning in his relationship with God, he was so engaged. He said, "I didn't even hear my son crying." So the Lubavitcher Rebbe says to his son, he says it's very important to remember that in life, you can never ignore the cries of a child. You must always, no matter what you're doing, be able to hear the cry of another. When we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, on the Jewish New Year, there's a blessing that we recite before the blowing of the shofar. What do we say? "Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has commanded us to listen to the sound of the shofar." The blessing conspicuously does not say that God has commanded us to blow the shofar, but the emphasis is the listening. We are commanded to hear the sound of the shofar. It's fascinating that the Jewish statement of faith, if you want to break down the concept of monotheism in the Jewish faith, what do we say? We say, "Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad." Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Belief in God, our statement of emunah, of faith, is dependent upon hearing. It is not about seeing. As we say in English, seeing is believing, but I would add that seeing is often means being fooled. Do you ever go to a magic show and you see what the magician does and you say, "Oh my gosh, how in the world did he do that?" In the ancient world, magic could obviously be used to convince people of the truth. And even though we know it was not always true, the Bible warns us about the creation of images, of graven images. It's one of the Ten Commandments. It's a prohibition to create images that people can see with their eyes, because an image has enormous power to influence someone. And when they see that image, it can convince them even that this idolatrous object is actually true. So the Jewish religion emphasizes the idea of hearing. Shema Yisrael, you have to hear. But it doesn't just mean to hear, it means to listen in the deepest way. It means to hear it not on a surface level, but to completely absorb the message. When the Jewish people are offered the Ten Commandments at Sinai, they respond, "Naaseh," we will do whatever God wants, "V'nishma," and we will hear it. But it doesn't mean to hear it on the surface, but it means literally to hear it in the deepest sense. In the book of Deuteronomy, in Moses' farewell speech to the Jewish people, he mentions the word lishmoa, to hear, in one form or another over 92 times, because in his final message to the Jewish people, he wants to train them to have a sensitive ear. And this is a very important idea. In life, we must develop or clarify our sense of hearing. It's one of our five senses, but one of the most important. We must learn to hear and listen to, in the deepest way, the pain and suffering of others. But we must also hear the voice of God daily in our lives. The Mishnah, one of the Jewish oral teachings in Pirkei Avot, says every day a voice goes out from Sinai And the question that all the commentators ask, well, if a voice goes out from Sinai, why does it go out if nobody hears it? The answer is that there is the potential to hear it. It's just a matter of having the right receptivity. Right now, at this very moment, in your house, there are radio waves going through your house. But unless you turn on the radio, you're not going to hear a thing. God's voice is echoing through the universe. But if your ear is not sensitive to hear, in the deepest sense, the voice of God in your life, and that voice you might hear when your children speak to you, when your spouse speaks to you, when you hear things going on in this world, that may be the voice of God speaking to you, and you need to listen carefully. You need to listen and to redevelop and clean out the ear canal and hear the voice of God. That is what we learn from the shofar, lishmoa kol shofar. The shofar teaches us to sensitize ourselves to hearing others and to hearing the voice and the call of God in this world. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. And as we say in Hebrew, we say Shavua Tov. Have a great week. And looking forward to our final week together with these videos, final full week. And let's go out with the music of Rabbi Shlomo Katz.